What is up, guys? Welcome to a new video. This is a series where I stalk some Koreans to find some new picks that are doing a lot better now after the patch. We do these first look videos from Korea just because they tend to try new stuff out more, they play more and theory craft them more, so they might find these things just a little bit sooner than we would. Just as a reminder, by the way, before we get started, you have like 2 days left, I think, on the giveaway for a few headsets and a bunch of RP, so that's in the description for you guys if you want to enter. Anyway, first up is going to be Zach. He was doing pretty well last patch too, but ever since 6.15, he's just been consistently at the top of win rates each day. So he's one of the more well-rounded champions you can actually play at the moment. Like at every single stage in the game, he's going to be relevant and he has a decent win rate, which is pretty rare. He's kind of perfect for what we actually want to do in the game right now. If you think about it, ADs do a lot of damage. We kind of have to survive them, but we need a mix of stats and also kind of disruption. So like forcing them not to auto attack so they don't do any damage. Matchup wise, you tend to just kind of outscale like Lee Sin, Elise, Gragas, Nidalee. Normally these tanks get bullied by them, but Zach doesn't really because he has the early sustain and also the early damage. That is one of the things really. You have like a very long engage, which is great to get to the back line of fights, but you bring a lot of damage when you get there. The itemization at the moment is kind of the thing that's doing this, I think. Like Cinderhulk into Visage is the most popular. You're going to heal more from your passive, which is great, but you still pack a massive punch with that and you can fight people. You get these tank items, right? And then you kind of get damage later into the game. That's why you're so well rounded. Like early we have the tank stats to survive and some base damage, and then later we have the damage items like Leandries or Abyssal to make your base damage do more with pen. Some even actually go Runic Echoes as well, but most are going to be like Cinderhulk, Visage, Armor, and then a bit of damage after. It's kind of like an Temu actually. You're kind of tanky, but you do some damage, and most even actually go Sorcerer Boots because they want the pen and with some AP runes. It's not really much of a surprise that Korea has managed to turn a tank and make him into an aggressive ganker and damage dealer, but that's basically how Zach is played over there. So Cassiopeia is next up, and normally, you know, I'd give you this whole kind of thing about Cassio is a hard champion. Korea loves hard champions where they can show off some skill, like how sick their mechanics are, but the more I look at this, the more I've realized Cassio is just so much easier after the rework. She used to be a champ where she was only successful in like Plat and Diamond and above. Like when I saw her there, I was like, okay, that makes sense, but then I checked the lower elos just to see how it was, and she's spanking people even in Silver. So what is the deal with her? I watched a few games, and basically she would just run at people spamming her E constantly like a madman and still do enough damage to kill them even without any poison. In lane especially, you can be super aggressive and punish. You have to be a bit careful, I guess, about having low move speed, but the way you play her really, like in Korea, is more about pressure and killing stuff. Abyssal Morello with a tier is the most common right now, a load of cooldown reduction and damage. It gives you that defense as well, I guess, but unlike most late game champions, she actually does well early into the game because of these items. In general, you will get a bit better after like 30 minutes into the game, but you're still good before, and it's pretty perfect because you have like no pressure, right? Even if you don't kill things early, you're still going to carry later. I'm pretty confident when I say that she's one of the strongest in this video right now, like the biggest jump. Like she has consistently had a high win rate for the past 3 or 4 patches, but especially 6.14 and now 6.15 has creeped into the top 5. A lot of this is matchup stuff, so she takes a monster dump on Azir, LeBlanc, and Twisted Fate, like 3 of the most popular champions right now, and she completely destroys them. Just to kind of put it into perspective, like for Plat Plus games in the last patch of 6.14, Cassiopeia had a 63% win rate against Azir. That is disgustingly high. She also beats Vlad, she beats Victor, Ari, like literally every other meta matchup right now except Malzahar is good for her. So Zyra is actually kind of making a comeback as well. She kind of fell out of favor for a little bit because Leona was taking a gigantic dump on her. Literally her win rate was like top 2, right? Then Leona got popular and jumped down to like 14th, I think. I guess Blitz also kind of helped with that. The meta's kind of shifting to healers though, and heal is the answer to poke unless you can actually kill them. Like Zyra is the most long con support I can think of. Like you slowly chunk health bars, right? And that's hard to do against a Soraka or a Sona. You can actually kill people though, which is why she's still very good, especially with Jhin at the moment, who is really overpowered. This combo is like super good. The way to go is definitely full damage though. Frost Queens, Leandries, Rylai's, your plants are going to burn for a ton of damage. But one of the biggest things here is the damage share on the team. So like how much damage does she do in comparison to her teammates? And it's way higher than any other support. Literally, it's not a surprise if you out damage your mid laner with your poke and burst. So one of the things most people don't realize is she's very good in lane, a lot of pressure and kill potential, but mid game actually is not that good right now. You're low health, you're easy to kill, you don't have enough damage yet, but the late game is where she does have enough damage and can start to carry again. Also, I guess as well, like her job mid game is to poke, and we're against the healers now as well, which isn't very good. Overall, I do think she has some obvious weaknesses, like how low health she is, I guess, but her damage is just insane. At bronze and silver right now in Korea, she has a higher win rate than Sona. Zyra. That should give you an idea of how hard it is to play against her. If you sit back versus a Zyra, you will lose so hard, and at lower ranks with like no coordination, it's very hard to actually go onto her and kill her. So next up is Syndra, who I did actually kind of wonder if she'd get better or not. Like, this meta is kind of really exactly what she wants. Her win rate has been getting better and better the past few patches, and now over the past few days, she has been one of the best. Combined with Thunderlords, you can easily one-shot someone, but she's still a mage, right? You don't like assassins, you do like to bone mages though, and that's kind of what we have right now. So matchup wise, like, she really hammers LeBlanc, Azir. She's good versus Twisted Fate, Victor, Yasuo, but she does struggle against Anivia and Malzahar. We also have to remember as well, junglers also punish her super hard because she hasn't got any mobility, but we're not seeing people be as aggressive this patch. So she does have good wave clear though, right? She can push well, she can punish with the stun to ult, and the stun can be super deadly now after the kind of mini rework. Remember, Syndra can pick up more than one ball now, so she throws them all down and it can stun multiple people. It also makes her ultimate more deadly, and I don't think this stuff is actually common knowledge. Like, I didn't really realize she could do this at first, and that's partly why she's not played more. Plus, if you step out of position, you're gonna probably die. I guess your ult as well can do no damage if you don't prepare it properly, so there are going to be a few reasons why you might suck at her at first. I'm not really doing a good job of selling this one, I don't think, but she is much better now, and harder champions haven't ever really stopped Koreans, so they'll put the time in to learn combos and stuff. Just something to keep in mind though as well, they go for like a pure damage build. Morello, Deathcap, Void Staff, or Morello, Abyssal, Deathcap, they don't mess around at all. Full glass cannon, kill everything. So it seems like this is literally just the League of Mages right now, but Brand is also doing a lot better, especially at lower ranks. He is going to be my low elo pick from Korea in this video. It isn't just mid though, as you probably expect. It's actually a lot of support brands as well. Higher up in Korea, support brand is much better than mid, but at lower ranks, it's going to be a mix of the two. So it's a similar deal to Zyra actually. Well, basically exactly the same when we consider like build stuff, like the same damage heavy builds, the same reasons that he's so effective. Unlike Zyra though, he scales a bit better into the mid game, kind of like he has the same good poke in lane, a stun to set up kills, and the damage element, but that keeps going into the early team fights of the game. As we get later, he is going to kind of fall off a little bit more though. He doesn't reach a kind of hyper carry state, I think, like Zyra does, where she can one-shot people, but you'll still be packing a punch. His passive is actually one of the most underrated things about him right now. He does so much damage with that. If you manage to lay your spells correctly across multiple people and you create a chain, you can legit just one-shot an entire team. A lot of people take Deathfire on him, but Thunderlords is more popular very slightly and has a much higher win rate in Korea. It's much more to do with like the burst side of him rather than the poke element. That is something a lot of people don't consider. Like, he can stun chain and one-shot mages or support, which is useful mid and support right now. Like, the meta has changed, right? Brand kind of forgotten about, I guess, but might be creeping back up. He's definitely good though, whether he gets more popular or not. So let's get away from mages for a bit. I've had enough talking about mages. We have two actually who do a very similar job in slightly different ways. So Renekton isn't showing up on any stat websites at doing well at the moment, but I've been checking every day and he's consistently been one of the best top laners ever since the patch hit, though it's actually been kind of hard to find. It makes sense because the meta is filled with early game top laners who want to get a lead and carry, and Renekton is designed to take a dump and stop that. Like, that is exactly his job, stop that happening. The reason I wanted to talk about him though more is because there's a really interesting split of how he's actually played. So Black Cleaver is basically always first. Like, it's really good on Renekton and gives him so much damage to fight early, but then it gets kind of weird though. A lot of Koreans play him actually like a tank. Like, they'll get Sunfire into Visage and Deadmans after the Black Cleaver. Now, don't get me wrong, it does work. I can see why it works, but why not just play like an Echo or something if you want to do damage but be tanky as well? Anyway, at lower ranks especially, we're seeing way more damage heavy builds with Fervor of Battle, so it would be like Black Cleaver, Ravenous Hydra, and then Sterak's, or just more damage. Basically, if you think of it kind of like an Assassin Jarvan, right? You dive in, you kill someone with your empowered W, and you keep going through the fight. Ever since 6.15, whenever I check like every day, I see a lot of Darius and a lot of Renekton as well. Renekton is one who can kind of keep up with Darius, but both are there to just crap on lower health carry laners. Regardless of which way you play him though, tank or damage, like buffs in 6.15 made him better for sure. Quite a bit more damage overall, and it's much easier to manage your Fury now. The last one is very similar to this actually with Olaf. So he's been one that I've been following for a while, but he always seems to have this kind of average win rate if you look at him on op.gg or anywhere else, and that's mostly because at higher ranks he really doesn't have much fun at the moment. So remember when I said Zac was like so well rounded, like he'll be good at every single stage of the game? Well, Olaf is the kind of the complete opposite from that. He has one of the highest win rates as a top laner before 30 minutes, and then he drops quite a lot after that and is really bad late game. The thing is, he snowballs very hard, right? He can demolish his lane and really crush his opponent, but the problem is like he has this one thing which is going to beat him eventually. As soon as the enemy AD carry has enough damage to kill you, as soon as it gets that late or they get fed, you're going to be useless. It's sad, but it's true. the way you're designed is they can't run away from you and you're going to kill them and chase them down. But as soon as they can just stand there and kill you, that's when it gets to that point. There's nothing you can do anymore. I do think Olaf is very good right now. Like, he's really solid. But if you do play him, you have to keep that in mind and try and end as early as possible. Even though people think of Olaf as like a late game monster because he's just not going to die with so much sustain, he can be, but he has like a very clear way where he can't really do much, and that point will almost always come at some stage if the game goes late enough. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of these picks. Remember to share and like the video if you did, but for now, let's go to the robots.